Okay, I started filming now. You really don't have to worry about how you look. It's fine. Don't worry.
No, I do.
Here, I'll just reverse the... Can you see? You look fine. You look fine. I can only assure you that this is not going to be seen...
I'm usually having professional hair and makeup, so it's a little bit...
Yes. Well, nobody's going to see this but me.
No, I'm sort of half in disguise. It's sort of incognito, so...
Well, I recognise you immediately. You came.
Did you?
Yeah, I've seen the series for years and we're great fun.
Oh, I thought it was quite a good disguise.
Well, you are.
I usually don't look like this.
No, you look fine. I can only assure you that you look wonderful. As ever. Oh, yes. Because when you play a woman of such character, such indomitable strength and character and all the different experiences
you do know who I am then?
Of course I knew who you are. Yes.
Oh.
Your husband's been here.
My husband.
My colleague worked with him, said that you'd be coming to see us. Your husband, Keith Hunter.
Should you be discussing this with me?
Well, I'm not discussing it. I'm just saying that he came. I mean, he said that you would be coming as well.
Has he been talking about me?
I can't discuss that. I wasn't even the person who interviewed him.
But the person who was interviewing him has discussed it with you.
I can't discuss that. There are issues of confidentiality, as you've actually initially explained. As there are confidentiality issues about what you say on this film, not be shown to anybody, and certainly not anyone, members of the general public, and of course your husband. You never know what you say. Confidentiality is
what does he say about me?
I can't tell you. It's basically what I'm saying. Yes. Or anything. So, I mean, that's basically it. I'm sorry, I can't be more.
Because I try to be very private with my public life. I don't want my public life to be public. I want it to be private. My life and the way I am portrayed on screen, they're not the same thing.
Yes, of course.
So whatever he's been saying about me,
so you feel that you have issues about your husband and what he says about two people about you behind your back?
I have issues with what you know about what he's been saying behind my back. I would like to know. I would like it to go no further than this.
Well, it didn't go any further than my colleague, who couldn't even outline or begin to discuss what your husband had been saying. It's confidential, as with yourself. It's a client-therapist privilege of information.
Because it was mostly him that I wanted to talk about in private.
Yes, well, here we are.
With the understanding that it won't go any further, that he is not told that I have come here.
Of course, he doesn't know, to my knowledge.
Well, he wouldn't know yet. I've only just come here.
Yes. Although he said he would be recommending you.
Well, he didn't. He's never mentioned you.
His exact words to my colleague was that you would be coming, which is why I said what I said in the first place.
Is that an innuendo?
No.
What has he been saying about me?
I can't discuss that.
There's a very good reason I try to keep my private life public and not public. My private life is a private life. I don't keep it
Would you like to discuss your husband?
I did want to discuss him. He just sits around the house all day talking about times that were past when he was very famous. I don't remember these times. He was an up-and-coming young actor when I married him. But even then, it was the promise rather than... I mean, he was very talented, he said.
Yes.
I didn't see him in anything to really judge, and we didn't discuss it really, but, you know, I've heard from friends that he was quite prolific.
Well, he was Quark Minor. There's a series of science fiction films and friends
I know
and I was
that.
quite
He's
keen
my
on.
husband. I know I know his body of work. He doesn't stop discussing it with me. I can't remember ever seeing it at the time. He has got it on DVD, but he won't let me see it. It's there. And I've tried to find it online. I can't find it anywhere. He does have a copy, but he won't let me see it. So he does keep telling me that it was very big at the time, but I was too young to remember it, obviously, the early 80s.
Is there an age gap between you both?
Oh, he's much older than me. He's 30 or 40 years older than me.
So if we could get back to the subject of your relationship with your husband, how's that going at the moment?
Not particularly well. We have a son. He's 8.
Really? How many children do you have?
1.
I thought you had a 19-year-old.
No.
Who was quite famous.
No.
You have an 8-year-old boy.
Yes.
Oh. And does he want to be an actor?
No.
Oh, what does he want to do?
He wants to be a musician, yes. He wants to be a musician, but he's not in the public eye. He's only 8.
Do you feel any kind of tension and resentment in the family unit at the moment?
No, not at all. No, my husband's... he's not working at the moment. He has got some news. He is going to be leaving for a few weeks to work on a part in St Albans. He's very excited. He's going to be King Lear, he says, which is fine, yes. He keeps going around the house going, how sharper than a serpent's tooth it is to have a thankless child, which obviously my son isn't really very happy about.
Mm-hmm.
He's quite method.
Yeah.
That's my husband. Have you seen him in anything?
Well, my friends and I, we were growing up, we were big fans of Quark Minor.
You've seen it?
Oh yes. We had, there was a magazine articles in Looking in the 70s,
That's
80s.
amazing. I've never met anyone in my life who's actually seen it.
Yeah, I've got the special. There was a 16 magazine was for to go with the book with the books that go with the films. There are novels as well. Yes, and of course I think I met him at a science fiction convention once.
Really?
Back in the 90s, yes. Yeah, it was quite well known. You know, there were television appearances. He used to open up places in America and in Britain.
90s?
He was very big in Milan. Milan, for some reason, Italian people really loved that show. Oh, this is in the 90s.
When in the 90s?
1998.
1998?
Yes.
He was going to conventions in 1998?
Well, around that time, I mean, from the 80s, late 80s onwards, when the time the films were big in the mid-late 80s, he was quite successful. And in the science fiction world, he was well known for this character. It was really Quark Minor with the powers and everything. But how do you feel about that?
Well, I had no idea where he was going. He did go on what he was saying were jobs, just minor theatre jobs, regional tours.
Huh.
I didn't realise that he'd been going abroad to be living it up, possibly having affairs abroad. I imagine there's a lot of groupies at these places.
Well, Quark Minor was a bit of a sex symbol at the time, that is true, for both women and men, apparently. He was noted for it. His romances kind of went both ways, well, hinted to go both ways anyway.
Did they
you see that on the screen, obviously. But
he is quite a method actor. He tends it tends to bleed into his real life.
Well, did
he speak with you?
No.
No, I can't see him.
Sorry, this conversation is becoming a bit bizarre, if I may say. I do.
Did you see him sleeping with anyone?
I couldn't say. I couldn't possibly say.
Actually, that makes him a little bit more exciting. He's got a bit of a secret deep life, a secret life. It's like secret and deep. That's sort of, wow.
Yes.
That's quite amazing. Well, that is quite something, isn't it? Sorry, I just...
Don't be self-conscious. This film is just for reference.
Do I look alright?
You look lovely.
Because I've got a major role in a film coming up. They're
You look
shooting over
lovely.
here.
Please believe me, you look lovely.
Pinewood.
How do you feel about that?
I'm a little bit nervous. nervous, really. It's a sort of extra step. I mean, my career is going very well, don't get me wrong, but I've never actually broken the whole world cinema scene. I'm not very big in Bollywood, for instance, and this is actually a Bollywood film they're filming. It's quite exciting, really, isn't it? Yeah, I've done Hollywood once, and I'm very big on the British film scene.
Yes. I remember some of the films. Yes, the Brighton Run, for example, was quite a thing.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
I'm very proud of that. Yes.
The Brighton Run. Yeah, you took your clothes off in it.
Is that what you remember it for?
It was one of many things. It was a remarkable film at the time. It was very social realism, 21st century.
But you remember it because I took my clothes off.
Well, I'm
still
just saying,
angry about that. I wasn't supposed to be taking my clothes off.
Yes.
That scene was not as written.
Huh.
I very specifically said I do not want to do a full frontal scene. And yet, when it came to do it, off the clothes came, ripped them off. I felt very violated. And they kept it in. I'm very angry about that. 10 years later.
How many times did you actually do the scene?
Just the once.
Oh, just the once, yes.
I wasn't going to repeat it. They just used the take.
But it works as part of the narrative.
10 years ago.
It works as part of the narrative, and you
Just before I had my son.
End up murdering a somewhat pervy man, as it were, in that scene. You're known as the Amazonian after that. It kind of
was I?
Yes, it made your name somewhat.
Well, it did. I can't deny that it made my name, but I'm still angry about this. 10 years later. 10. It's only 10.
So you're now in your late 20s?
Yes.
Can I ask, do you find yourself at odds with the world sometimes?
All the time.
I see. What particularly would you like to discuss today?
My husband's lack of enthusiasm for life. His, what I thought was a fantasy world, but turns out to be maybe not as fantasy world as I thought. His affairs, his numerous affairs, which he seems to have had. He must have had very many of them. He doesn't really leave the house much anymore, so I'm assuming he hasn't had them. Although he does spend a lot of time online.
Do you check his computer?
I would never violate his privacy.
Not at all?
Not very often.
Oh, I see. So you're suspicious?
He's got a password. I can't guess his password. Yes. Although, from what you have said, maybe it's something like... what was the name of the show?
Quark Minor.
Quark Minor.
Yes.
I shall have to try that. Quark Minor.
So, if we go to your regular home life, how do you find that with, say, your husband and your son?
It's not very fulfilling.
In what respect?
Well, you can imagine he's a middle-aged man. He is tired of life. He is frustrated. I am more frustrated. I'm not entirely sure why I married him in the first place. Might not be married to him for much longer. When he goes to St Albans, I'm thinking of... Well, I'm filming the Bollywood movie soon. That's going to be very exciting.
Of course.
Whole new world of opportunities.
Will you be singing and dancing?
I will.
Oh.
Yes, it's very exciting, I think. Very exciting. And, who knows, maybe I'll make some Chinese films, some African films, some Australian films they were a little bit bigger a few years ago. They haven't made that many recently, but yes, Australian films and South American films and Inuit films. That's a burgeoning market.
Inuit?
Inuit films, yes.
Are they Native American films?
They're a native, sort of Alaska.
Alaska.
And sort of the top half of Iceland.
Oh yeah, and you've been in the film industry, involved in the film industry there.
The Inuit films.
Inuit films, yes.
It's very vibrant.
Were you the woman in the igloo As the one in the canoe.
Yes, I wasn't playing of Inuit. Obviously, that's insensitive. I was playing the explorer.
The explorer in the igloo.
In the igloo.
In the circle.
The incomer.
They were very suspicious
of me, but they learned to accept me, and I learned to find. Yes, so yes.
But didn't you lose your clothes in that as well?
It was very cold.
Yes, yes.
But no, I don't want to really discuss that.
Of course, I mean,
it was insensitive to the Inuits, I think, because the director wasn't an Inuit and didn't really understand the culture. And they weren't. I don't think I'm going to be working in the Inuit film industry anymore because of that film. They weren't very happy with the way it was. Well, their culture was portrayed. It wasn't very. No. And the title they changed it to. I'm not happy about that. Really.
What was the working title?
The working title was Away with the Ice.
Oh.
But that wasn't the title when it came out.
Now I recall that film. It had quite a racy title, didn't it?
It did have quite a racy title.
Yes, yes. The Naked Explorer.
That was the title in Britain. That wasn't the title in America.
Oh, well, what do they call it in America?
They called it, I don't really want to say.
Of course, yes, of course, of course. It must be a remarkable life to be in the public eye so much when you have a private life to maintain. I see. So you're thinking of leaving your husband?
I'm hoping that he just doesn't come back from St Albans. I think it's a profit share. I hope that it's enough profit that he can just go and stay there, and I'm probably going to change the locks. Maybe sell the house when he's not there. I've had a few offers.
Is he staying?
A very rich businessman from Dubai has offered me quite a substantial sum to just move in. Cash in hand. I move out, obviously. I don't stay there. Yes. And so I'm thinking of doing that, really.
But these are somewhat ephemeral relationships. You don't have the same guarantee of security, should I say.
What?
You're a Dubai businessman, not mine.
No, he'll give me... Pardon me? He'll give me the cash. I'll move out. I'll just maybe... I mean, I've got work permits for quite a few different countries, so I can just go anywhere, really. Quite welcome everywhere. And just not leave a forwarding address, really. I'm thinking of doing that. He can, well, as you say, he's got a burgeoning cult movie going to visit, what do they call conferences?
Yeah, conventions, science fiction conventions.
Science fiction conventions.
Do you think it's possible for you to sit down and make up your differences with your husband?
No.
Oh. How long have you been married now?
Some years.
Some years, yes. And you have a son who is how old?
8.
8 years of age. I see. I'm a bit confused because there's been a lot of press recently about a 19-year-old hunter who is quite successful, young professional singer and dancer, kind of boy band style. Very, very successful.
I don't know who this person would be now.
Okay. So, when your husband argues with you or talks to you or you fall into argument, what are the conflicts, if any, about, if there are any conflicts?
There aren't any conflicts. There are no conflicts. I just don't want to be with him anymore. And to be honest, I don't really want to be with you anymore. This is really quite tedious.
Yes.
You're harping on the same thing, as if you want to know about things that really don't have... Well, they're not your business, to be honest.
Well, this is a counselling session. I try to find a particular point to enlarge upon.
Yes, and the point that has emerged, is that I am going to leave my husband, and you've focused it for me. To be fair, it's been quite helpful in making me realise that I should just probably leave it as it is and just give it up. Really, it's not working.
Have you discussed this with
I haven't discussed with this. I'm just going to go.
I think you should perhaps...
I'm not going to discuss it with him.
Oh.
Please don't discuss it with him. Please, this is completely confidential. If I find out that you've said anything to my husband...
No, I'm not going to say anything to your husband.
Sue.
None of us will, but I'd like to say to you that I think you'll find that long, prolonged discussion...
I think that this is
And
none of
making
your
a
business.
life-changing decision is
No.
always a good idea.
Really, do you? Well, thank you very much for your opinion, which I will not be taking because it is your very bad opinion. You're making me very uncomfortable. I'm going.
Would you like me to turn the camera on?
Yes, please.
Yes, certainly. Just one moment.